My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hangin web show, this is the legend of the Traveling Tardis. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. Do not adjust your headset or your earphones or however you're listening to us. I am not Christian Basil. Unfortunately, Christian is not here on this episode. However, on our little journey, there's going to be three of us piloting the TARDIS along with you, our valued listener. With me, if you haven't figured it out, this is Melanie Dean. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, with me is Neisha Mulchan from Diversely Geek. Hey, Neisha. How are you?
Hello, lovelies. This is me. How is everyone? Happy to be here.
Sorry. And also joining us for the first time is Simi Kaur. Simi, hello. Is there anything that you want to say that you're from or plug or just hello?
I'm just here because we were talking Doctor Who and I saw an opening to come in.
The great thing with Simi is that she usually is my personal booth babe. So if you ever see me at MegaCon or any of the other conventions running around the state of Florida, Simi's usually the person that's giving me a break, or she's at the booth, or if I'm at a panel, she's doing all the wares and stuff. So the three of us are going to be piloting the TARDIS today, and we're going to talk about a subject that all of us really, really love, and that's wearables. I will even go, dare I say, to fashion. But we're going to go ahead and make this nice and broad for everybody in our community and anything that's Doctor Who that you wear. We've already had an episode where we were talking toys and all the licensing and wonderful stuff that we've seen. We're going to have one later in December about games and all the different fun licensed games that we're going to have and talk about, and you could purchase and put them on your Christmas lists and other, items that you celebrate so you can get gifts. But for this one, we're going to be talking about wearables and everything that Doctor Who has done, branded, licensed, and even all the fan fun kind of stuff. So I'm going to kick it off with asking my two favorite people. I'll start with Neisha. When it comes to getting your licensed kind of gear for Doctor Who, where do you go? Where do you like shopping? What are you looking for, Neisha?
So I think, Mel, you and I have been doing this for a while. So remember back in the day, 7 or 8 years ago, how hard it was to find licensed gear? To find wearables like what we have today. I mean, if we were lucky, we were able to get some jewelry here and again. In the beginning, I did a lot of licensed products with Hot Topic, because they did have, I think, the most array of items, although it was a diverse array of items.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Hot Topic was the place, like, you would be able to go into the mall before you really could find anything on the internet. Hot Topic was the place to go. Maybe Spencer's, but you weren't going to find anything Hoovy in there.
And not really. I mean, maybe Hoovy-esque, but not specifically or licensed. And I've come to realize that. But with Hot Topic, we gave us the opportunity to be able to wear items that were across genders, which I thought was pretty cool. Because before that, we only had T-shirts. So
right. How about you, Simi? Were you also one of the people kind of lurking around a Hot Topic, or was there any place else that you were finding that you could find stuff?
Usually just Hot Topic, or if I ended up in Marshalls or like TJ Maxx in like their like novelty stuff, you'll find like a random like necklace or something with a TARDIS on it. But otherwise, that was like few and far between, and you really had to like, oh my God, it's here. Otherwise, you were kind of out of luck if you wanted anything geeky.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, on one hand, we have to also kind of consider that it's also the United States. So it wasn't something where we're going to be able to find anything anyway for a British television show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, unless you had a friend that was coming back from overseas and, like me, I have an aunt that would bring stuff along. But usually you're not going to be able to find anything. I know when I was in high school, before Hot Topic really kind of got into the malls, there was like different places called like Barefoot Mailman or you're like a Spencer's, all your little kitschy kind of stuff where you're walking through and you're like, wait, is that what I think it is? That is a Doctor Who item. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I'm just gonna get it. I don't
Even
really
on
kind of
occasion,
like it.
a GameStop, even on an occasion back in the day, we would find something random, that was okay, Doctor Who, yes, let me get that now. So
You're right, and I mean now we even have like Think Geek, where I
yeah.
mean some of them are in the mall, but then you have a lot of them had partnered with GameStop.
Mhm.
You can still find some stuff like in little specialty shops, like we were discussing before we started the show. Is if you have a British shop by your house or wherever you live, there's sometimes like like a little mini grocery kind of thing. There's one here in Largo, Florida, called London Pride. Gave them a quick plug. They have stuff, but I've actually have you ladies been to Epcot recently? If not even
Oh,
No.
yeah,
recently.
I was just there last week.
When you go into the England area there's Doctor Who stuff. There's Sherlock stuff and all kind of fun stuff, which is always kind of neat. But where else do you have a tendency to kind of look for stuff? Is there any special places like online that you look at? Are you an Etsy fiend like myself?
I'm actually not as much Etsy. Isn't that interesting? Although you and I probably have a lot of friends who are vendors on Etsy. I tend to reserve a lot of my buying to when I go to the con so I can support the vendors at the conventions. So I do as much as I can to budget to be able to support you and your products while you're there. So that's a pet thing for me to do that. But I actually online wise, of course, you guys know, as we talked about earlier, that her universe has been bringing us Doctor Who merchandise for pretty much almost from the first year out. So I have quite a lot of her universe items. But guess you have to remember, we can get it on BBC too.
Mm-hmm.
This is BBC. This is BBC, and this is BBC. That's why I had them all on today. I was like, the only thing I have out is BBC.
So tell me, Neisha, who are you wearing this evening? What tell all of just our podcast listeners, because everyone on YouTube's probably already picking out what everybody is, what everybody's sporting, what everybody's wearing. I'm wearing my 13th. But Neisha, tell me who you're wearing.
Well, actually, I'm actually wearing this is actually a Tardis dress. You can't see it because it's at the bottom. And it is a BBC exclusive. It was actually from SBCC from 7 years back.
Ooh.
So, because you got a chance to come, you were at SDCC, so you see the BBC booth and you see how they have the exclusive apparel and accessories.
Mm-hmm.
And so this dress is from then. And then this Dalek necklace, steampunk Dalek necklace from 2017.
I love the coppery feel of that. Everything is consistent with the gears and the Dalek.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. And
is it heavy?
Not in the least.
Ooh, cool.
Fantastic. I will tell you, and I have ordered from them online, BBC for delivery, and the products are great.
I'm telling you, we live in a really neat time now that we can actually get merchandise, not only, in person, in a convention, that kind of stuff, but online. If you think about the internet, you weren't going to be able to buy anything online 20 years ago. You were still trying to wait for dial-up and listen to the AOL guy go ding, 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 and then yelling at your sister for, put down the phone. I'm trying to make it. Oh, well, there went email. Okay, everyone now knows how old I am. Ha ha ha. So, Simi, when you go to,
Yes.
are you the same thing like with Neisha? Do you tend to buy more stuff at conventions or more the Hot Topic crowd? Now that we have cons.
Nowadays, it's more like if I go into the mall and I see something I like. But if I want something more fan made, then I'll go buy them at the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
If I want this like actual from BBC, I would go to their shop.
One thing that I always like to tell people is when they're trying to, purchase something is always I mean, honestly, sometimes it's great. We love the internet. The internet's great, especially when you have Amazon Prime and something comes to your house within 2 days. But if there's something to be said about going to a convention so that you can actually pick something up, you can look at it, you can feel it. Way back when all your t-shirts were printed on maybe 100% cotton, and they're going to be either a unisex cut or just a male cut. Now you can feel the different types of fabrics there are. You could see if something was printed on like a Bella canvas, I think that has a little bit of nylon into it. It's a little bit more stretchy. It's very, very soft. It's thinner. Or you can have it like a cotton, but not as heavy and like the big beefy tees where you had, a TARDIS on it. Now you can have more all over printing. The different types of print methods are out there where it's not just screen print. You can have something that's dye sublimated, which fun fact,
love it.
You don't have to worry about putting it on, and if you get bigger or smaller or it's stretching out in the wash, you don't have to worry about the cracking anymore.
Yep.
Now, because sometimes if you bought a T-shirt that had, or anything that was printed on cotton that was screen imprinted, they have to put down a flash. A flash is basically white. Sorry, I keep forgetting everybody knows all these little technical terms. Basically, screen print 101, if it's a dark shirt and you're going to be putting ink on top of it, sometimes you have to put a white layer of ink on it, which is called sometimes a flash. And you put that on it, so that's one layer of thickness. And then you go ahead and one by one put all your other colors on as you're screen printing. Now you have like this nice, thick, rugged image on your shirt, and you throw it to the wash once, crack. And you're like, there's a crack in my TARDIS. I don't like that. No.
I've had a lot of T-shirts ruined that way.
Yeah, that's explaining all the shirts from the 80s and 90s. Remember those? God, yeah. I have a lot of those put away somewhere. Like, I think I was thinking about what you were asking me too, and I was thinking about the wearability and the accessibility now for different body types.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you were saying, I mean, everything was just very generic to the cotton tee because that was the Hanes t-shirt was what was available at the time. And it was the least, the most wearable, the longest term, and it also was the cheapest to mass produce. So I know that, companies would mass produce on those type of products. But unfortunately, was that accessible or something that someone with a different body type or, a gender spectrum would want to wear? But now, thankfully, don't we see that we have access to things that are very much, I think, accessible or more appealing for different body types.
Absolutely agree.
You don't have to go to the Target's men's section to buy your novelty T-shirts anymore.
Right. And even then, it's like when you go to a convention, to your point, it's not just small, medium, large. You can possibly find something up to 3X. You can probably find something then X, an X small, depending on your body type. And you can actually be able to grab something, try it on, put it on against you. A lot of people now, especially at a convention, if they don't have an area for you to try something on, most people have no problem you taking it out of the bag, putting it up against you, trying to see, okay, well, where it is against the widest part of my body, or at least, a lot of the vendors themselves are wearing what you are thinking about purchasing. So you can kind of see it on somebody else's body type and go, well, how does that hang? How does it wash? How does that, how does that work? Your Universe is definitely one of those booths that has that kind of, for me, innovated being able to try something on at a convention. Really?
Yeah, because they have a fitting room.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and that's like the most fabulous thing because people are very very wary about sometimes about their image and how comfortable do you feel about picking up a product in an environment where maybe you don't have a sense of self acceptance. And so you think twice about whether even though I love that skirt, will people think that I can't wear that skirt, right? So having the ability to be able to try it on, and then having it, like you said, in sizes from XL, XS all the way up to 3X is, I think, very wise, very prudent, and it gives me comfort because I'm like the first person to have body image issues. So for me, my love is wearing Doctor Who stuff, so I wear it all the time.
Mhm.
I told you my job knows me by now because I do it at work.
Oh, we're going to take a very quick commercial break, and on the other end, I'm going to delve a little further into Neisha's last little comment about job and what kind of who stuff can we wear to work and what's out there, not just for women but for men too. When we come back, and so thanks for being part of the legend. So we are back. Joining me, this is Melanie Dean. Joining me is Neisha, Diversely Geeks, Neisha Mulchan, and Simi Kaur, who you'll just see around at Pieces of Melee booths. That's me plugging me again, y'all. Anyway, sorry guys, but as we were just talking about,
Do it, Melanie.
as we were just talking about when it comes to work, everyone in this conversation also has a full-time job doing another aspect of what we love in our careers. And sometimes you don't always can wear a t-shirt to work, depending on what your industries are. So I'm going to start with Simi. What kind of things do you find or that you can wear to work?
Generally, almost nothing, because I work in the financial industry and there is hardly anything available that is office appropriate. So right now, the closest thing currently is what they have for 13. Her shirt is.
I was going to say, what is your dress code? What is the dress code that you're facing and that you have to kind of work within?
No t-shirts allowed. So you can do like a nice fancy top, but no jeans allowed unless it's a Friday. So when you have to conform to that, it's hard to find anything to help display your geekiness, unless maybe you can find like a couple of earrings to help show that you like Doctor Who, or like a necklace, but that's very rare.
Well, I know for a lot of our audience, for our male audience, there's a few people like that I work with that they've been able to. Right, I honestly think in part it's due to her universe showing that having these licenses for geekiness can be applied to something other than t-shirts. Yeah. There's gentlemen that at my work that they have a thing called Tie Wednesday, where they just want to wear a tie. It's not necessarily within the business casual dress code anymore, but they want to wear a tie. So they brought in Tie Wednesdays. And some of them have different Doctor Who ties, which honestly, if you watched Good Omens, one of the characters in there was wearing the Fourth Doctor's scarf as a pattern in a tie. Kind of going off that kind of geek thing. I've seen tie bars with either Darth Vader or a TARDIS on it. I've seen gentlemen wearing cufflinks, like some of our national business meetings. That it's like, wait a minute, that's TARDIS. I know that's TARDIS. Hold on a second, let me see that a little further. So it's neat that it's also it's transcending not just for fashion for fashion jewelry for women, but there's also all these other male dominant, more appropriate accessories like the ties and stuff like that. So that anybody can wear them, honestly, but it's not just branded and marketed for a specific demographic. Neisha, what about you? What kind of stuff do you within the dress code for your work that you've seen? She just kind of shows herself like, this is what
I would actually go to work like this. This is a full dress. This is a knee-length dress. It's very appropriate and it covers. And plus the shrug that I have on, which is Doctor Who, is actually completely appropriate. I'm in medicine, so I'm seeing patients all day. So I wear my lab coat, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just wear my whatever I have, whatever the outfit is I put on for the day. And I wear geek couture fashion, or accessory, or a wearable of some kind, at least one or two pieces every day. Whether it's the jewelry, whether it's the watch, whether it's the rings, whether it's something like this. But I was telling you, my favorite finds are finding those shrugs, because the shrugs are actually extremely business appropriate, so you could dress it over anything. And you're getting to express who you are, the fun side of you, the passionate side of you, from your favorite fandom. And at the same time, I can tell you, my patients love it because They all
That's what I
know
was kind
who
of
I am.
wondering. For in the medical field, seeing something that's not just so cut and dry and seeing a little bit more of a personality being injected into the conversation, even if it's very subtle. I would imagine that's got to help your patients find like almost strike a little commonality and listening to, either, a diagnosis or whatever, conversation that you happen to be having,
And
with your patient.
I do exactly that. You hit it the nail on the head, Melanie. It completely creates what's called it's a crack in the wall. It allows us to be able to break those walls and create a sense of unison, so that they know that I'm a very simple, nerdy person, and I'm good with that, even though I am the authority in terms of the medicine. So the clothes, even for my staff, they're quite aware of who I am, and I have Doctor Who all over my office. So everybody knows. I have a lot of other fandoms too, but my main fandom is Doctor Who. I have that magnet with all of the doctors on it, and I have it up. And every day I get to point the little pointer to what I like. Am I disappointed? Am I happy? Am I silly? Am I adventurous? And every day, I put it there. And then I'm like, hey, who wants to spin the wheel today? Who wants to be what today? So I give them a chance to do it. So they know, they're aware, and it brings me so much joy and peace and contentment to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's amazing how if something that we're wearing, it's an amazing icebreaker, no matter where you're at. I have a friend that works in Washington and for an advocacy, I won't say program, but in even industry, but for an advocacy. And I remember, like, for her wardrobe, she really can't wear a lot of the nerdy kind of stuff because it's very, very, strict on what their code, their guidelines are. But in her office, she has a TARDIS teapot. Or maybe once in a while she'll be able to get away with wearing like a necklace or a pair of earrings or something. Or like to your point, the shrug to be able to put that cardigan on because you can kind of get away from having to follow that dress code. Because usually your jackets and stuff don't necessarily have to follow a dress code. Naturally, course language or anything on that. You shouldn't be wearing it. But I think that's neat how you don't have to worry about that icebreaker necessarily being an object somewhere, but it could be literally on your person.
Yep.
And even when you're out in a crowd, or if you're standing, if you're on a subway, or if you're in the tube, or wherever you are, and you're waiting in a long line, it's a nice icebreaker just to kind of talk to somebody. If you want to not talk about the weather, you're like, oh, did you see, the last episode, or what do you think about, the 13th Doctor, or just kind of saying, oh, or even better, when you go to a convention, how quickly everyone will just start talking about, whatever topic in the world, because this becomes what you're wearing on you, a quick little thing of, talk to me about this. I want to talk about Doctor Who. You see me wearing a Doctor Who shirt? Okay, I'm just going to sit right here. Okay, let's go.
Exactly.
That's why I think this is the greatest thing about conventions is like we're all introverted extroverts. We don't like talking to anybody except we're at a convention.
I mean, I met one of my best friends in the office because I was wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt back when I worked in an office that allowed us to wear t-shirts.
Oh, really? What shirt were they wearing?
No, I was wearing my Doctor Who t-shirt.
Oh, you were wearing the shirt. They had kind of rolled right up and said, "Okay, well, let's talk about that."
Yeah. So, made really good friendships just like that because especially it was a time when not many people were watching Doctor Who. Because you have to remember, like, even 6-7 years ago, Doctor Who was still pretty niche. It didn't blow up as much as it has recently. Right. So it was like hard to find somebody who you could talk Doctor Who with.
Now, one thing I kind of that I wanted to kind of pose to both of you is when you're picking out, your wearables, what you're going to be wearing. Do you have a tendency of looking for something more on the subtle aspect of, proclaiming your geekdom, where you're like, I'm wearing a 13th Doctor shirt. If you know the series, you'll get the fact that this is the stripe. That's it. It doesn't have a picture of a TARDIS or anything else. You get it. You get it. You don't. I can wear this anywhere, and somebody will spot it out. Or are you the type of person that likes to have the things where it either has the full photo of a doctor, no matter who your doctor is? Do you have a tendency between the two, or do you just kind of buy them both and then just kind of discern where you want to wear? What do you think, Neisha?
I actually rarely wear anything with a with the face of a character. I mean, it's extremely rare. The only ones that I do have are the Lord of the Rings. It's one of the 4 hobbits, because it's the 4. Hello, it's the hobbits. So, come on. I mean, who would Elijah Wood on their shirt? Duh. Okay. So I'm just saying.
No, I understand. I'm the same way. It's like I have a tendency of, if I have a shirt, if it has a character on it. I have actually one of my friends, funny enough, at work is the same way, where he has a shirt that is it's Megan Lara. Her art is known for doing a lot of Art Nouveau style of characters. And he actually, I think it was today, he was wearing the Rose Tyler one. And I think he's worn this shirt to the point where it's no longer made anymore. He's bought a second one where they changed the imprint method, where before it was like I think this version is dye subbed. The other one was screen printed. But I'm very similar, and the same thing that what made me think of Tom was I don't tend to wear faces. I don't usually do a lot of photos of
Silhouettes are about easier.
Yeah, maybe silhouettes is about maybe as far as I'll go. I do have a shirt that is like the caricatures, is the chibi style of all of the doctors. And that was a San Diego Comic-Con shirt that I purchased. But yeah, I'm the same way. I don't tend to do faces. Yes. Neisha's showing for our listeners. She's picking up the Kawaii 13th Doctor, and she's standing next to the TARDIS. Funny enough, I'm going to, because I brought show and tell stuff too. Ha ha ha. I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head. I believe its name's Kelly. And here's my. This was before 13 was announced, so it's everybody, including War Doctor.
But I love that. See, that's okay, because it's very subtle and it's very, it's referential, but it's also very positive. So what I wear, I'm, Mel, I like to have something on me that gives me a sense of positivity, like it connects me. So here I am wearing a Dalek necklace, gears and wheels and everything. And like, why are you wearing a Dalek necklace? Well, because really it connects me to the beginning of Doctor Who, right? It's been here since the beginning, for goodness sakes. And it's about the antithesis and to the Doctor. And I went into medicine because of Doctor Who. So it kind of has this whole sense of hope for me. Like, there's always a possibility. And, I do mental wellness. So I know I just gave you a whole spin down. But really, that's why I wear a Dalek necklace, because it reminds me of why I did this in the first place, and that there's hope.
Well, that's the great thing about wearables, is it literally is showing a piece of your heart that you're literally wearing it on your sleeve. Simi, how about you? When it comes to subtlety, do you tend to wear faces, stuff like that, or where do you lie?
I'm like Neisha. I don't like to have like somebody's actual face on a t-shirt I'm wearing. I like the one that I did have was a Ninth Doctor t-shirt for the longest time, because that was the only Doctor Who item available for me to purchase. So now
I'm sorry, I'm looking at Neisha rolling her eyes knowingly, like, I remember that one.
Yep. Sorry, I wasn't sure that was showing, but God, yes, I remember.
I had no other choice. Yeah. So, but if I have a choice, I prefer something subtle. It's just, I want to see if people connect the dots. I have a little sense of mystery. Do you, hey, what are you? I know this. I don't know where, but I know this.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that concept a lot. Creating a puzzle with your outfit.
Yeah. Or like I one time I wore I had these rose earrings and a wolf t-shirt. You know what that is?
You went subtle with Bad Wolf. Very, very nice. Oh. Very nicely done.
Oh. All right. You just invented it. You just invented a game, Simi. Melanie, let's make this a game.
Where we start wearing things and go, okay, so who is she representing? Who are they representing? So from here on out, on the following episodes of The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, for those of you who are watching the YouTube feed, you can start keeping an eye on who, if it's me or Neisha, or if it's Simi, or whoever's on, and to kind of say, okay, what character are they bringing to the table? We're going to take a quick little commercial break, and on the other end, I'm going to talk a little bit more when it comes to characters and bringing this out, and if you ever wear your cosplay around Let's think about that on the other side of the commercial break. And we are back up from the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. It's Melanie, Neisha, and Simi, and we're talking about Doctor Who wearables. One thing I wanted to ask was sometimes people will wear cosplay items just as normal clothes. Like right now, if you go on to, because now you guys are listening, you'll notice that we didn't do a Who Knew News because we now have a website. It is thelegendofthetravelingtardis.com. So everything that you've been seeing on our Facebook page, on our Instagram, all that kind of fun stuff, you can now just go to our website and you can catch up on all the news and all that kind of fun stuff. And one of those articles on the website is about Torrid and how Torrid brought up a lot of, I believe it was her universe, but a lot of the 13th Doctor's items. And a lot of those items are suspiciously her costume. So you're like, wait a minute. So is there now a line between cosplay and just wearing something, you're no longer having to have a branded shirt that says Doctor Who. You can actually wear the Doctor's trousers. What are your thoughts on it? Either one, both. Take your time. Take turns. What do you guys think?
I love it because those are very office appropriate trousers.
Right.
So I'm all for it. So give me something that I can wear to work, and I'm happy.
My daughter cosplays Matt Smith. She cosplays the 11th Doctor, and her entire outfit is business appropriate, and she wears it to work. Suspenders, bow tie, jacket, pants, boots.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's absolutely fantastic.
100%. Anyone who knows that she's the 11th, and it makes sense because it makes all the sense. It's regular apparel.
Yeah,
but it's inferential apparel, and that's one of the things I adore about even this conversation we're having, is to help people to understand that we can imbibe the love that we have for a fandom, to the point of wearing it, and then we're like constantly feeling that sense of unity or connection to that fandom. Yeah. Like with why I wear the, so I wanted to make the point about the Dalek necklace, because of how it connects me in that way. So when she wears it, I just love it. I just adore watching her do that. And that's how she does cosplay, by the way. Mm-hmm. All of her cosplays are ones that she could actually wear to work.
Oh, I love it. Because at one point, I was wearing, I was like it was San Diego, and I wanted to be at 9, and I built my own 9th Doctor cosplay. And after a while, it was like that point where it's just hanging in my closet. I don't have like a separate closet. I used to have a separate little closet where I put my costumes and stuff. But then a lot of my clothes just started kind of being in the same closet because I could just wear the 9th Doctor jumper anytime. And then I just noticed there was times where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to it was cold out in Florida. It doesn't happen that often. But it warranted me wearing the leather jacket. So there was times where I literally had gone to work wearing head to toe 9th Doctor cosplay, and nobody really got it. Although a couple people who were Whovians kind of looked over, tilt the head, squint the eye, like, are you supposed to be? And because I completely forgot to take it out, I had the psychic paper and the Dr. Sonic in this jacket, because why would I take it out? It goes in that particular jacket. And I'm like, oh, look, I'm ready to go. This is awesome. But I completely digress. I think that's great that like Torrid and I'm hoping that this is going to be, for us, we're going to notice more of the Doctor Who things. But I do wonder what other geekdoms will hopefully take more of a page out of what Torrid's doing and what that fashion line is doing, what her universe is doing, and getting more of that stuff out there where, yes, it's cosplay, but you can wear it any time.
Oh, L. Hoffer Design. Have you had a chance to check out L. Hoffer Design?
No, I have not.
So they're at San Diego Comic-Con, and if you have a few seconds, try and look them up. So L. Hoffer Design specializes in across the body type, fandom-based wearable apparel. So while everything has a sense of fashion, of the geekdom to it, I can tell you everything is business. Oh, well, I'm not going to say everything. Hold on, hold the horses. But on an average, 60% is business wearable. And what I love about it is that the design and cuts allow most any body type to be able to wear that item. And they also do gender neutral clothing as well. So that's pretty fabulous. I'll pull up their thing so I can just flash it for you guys if you want, so you could see it.
Well, that's the great thing about the 13th Doctor's costume, especially, is that when and Neisha had shown Jodie Whittaker at Comic-Con. If you went to the Her Universe fashion show that Jodie Whittaker had come on, when she was talking a little bit more about the piece, and when she helped the actor there is a lot of actor input on what their doctor is going to look at, and that's been historical. I mean, you can talk about Tennant, you could talk up a little bit more, even the Tom Baker, on what they kind of wanted to wear. Unfortunately for Colin Baker, they just took whatever he said and just threw it out the window. That poor man, because he wanted to be looking like 9, and I would still to this day would love to see what his costume would have, if he could have had the leather jacket and all that kind of, along with his shouting and his swagger. But again, this is what I do. I digress. The fact of the matter was that Jodie wanted something that any gender could wear, that it was above all else comfortable. It had pockets. Pockets. But anybody could wear it. You didn't have to worry about being male, female, non binary, anywhere on the spectrum. You were dressed as the Doctor, which I always just thought was like a very poignant thing that she had brought up. And that if you go to conventions and whatnot, you see that a lot of people are just dressed as the Doctor. You no longer have to worry about, well, that person's the female version of the Doctor and this person's the male version of the, no, you're just the Doctor.
Doctor, yep. Right, exactly. Yeah, I think that doesn't exist in that. I mean, I'm sure it does. What am I saying? But yes, not like it used to 7 years ago, right? When we were first doing this. So, like, here's an example with Elle Hoffer. I know you guys could see it there. Those are the 4 houses from Harry Potter.
It's like what Neisha's showing is a wrap style dress. It's got a very thick belt over it. It almost has a kimono kind of feel to it in the way that has the lines are flowing. But each one was representative of each of Harry Potter house. So you had the green Slytherin, the blue for Ravenclaw. Very, very, very elegant. And that's the one fun thing about going to conventions, is that you see so many more different businesses that are out there that maybe they don't have the license, like Her Universe having the license over at Hot Topic, or being able to have not only the license and being able to have the store to hold the clothing. But if you go to a convention, you can actually get those, like to Neisha's point, you could see different people who have licenses and have all these amazing designs and the licensed ones. Now with Etsy and everything else, you can find the ones that are more inspirational, where you're going to be seeing the t-shirts that have artwork that have been done by the artists and are printed on there, or other type of inspired by pieces. I think the biggest one that you could even possibly think of when it comes to wearables is the infamous Jane hat from Firefly. How many people had Jane hats that were like the big industry of Etsy, and then the license came through, and now I think you can buy them on Think Geek or somewhere else. But I love how in our time, a lot of our wearables, a lot of our fashion sense is driven from our geekdoms. And to Neisha's point earlier, it's a piece of your heart that you're showing on your sleeve, literally.
Real quick, they did get some licensing for BBC. So this is a new product that they have out, which is the shell, which is just basically an undershirt that's representative of 13. So to your question, to your point before about referential clothing, how this, Simi, this would be perfect to wear to work, right? Because you can wear it under a blazer, wear it with a nice slacks, and you're good to go, and you're repping the Doctor, right? So it's like,
I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up was a lot of times when it comes to the brand or the licensed items, because the 3 of us, we've all been to San Diego Comic-Con. When you get there, if you get your preview night pass, you know when to run to the BBC booth first, because stock kind of dwindles each day. But But one thing, little pro tip for you is if you got your San Diego Comic-Con passes for next year, a lot of that merchandise can be found at other booths. One case in point, Titan Comics. Titan Comics has a lot of the wearables licenses as well. So there was times where if you're trying to go find a certain size and BBC booth's already out, you could check the Titan Comics one and you find out, oh, they have it and it's in the size that I want. Or just in the larger conventions, you should know that, like the Great Wall of Shirts that both you ladies, I'm sure, have used as a marker when you're trying to meet somebody. You're like, which wall of shirts are you at? Are you by the G hall or by the, or over by H, the wall of shirt? There's usually a couple places, a few different vendors will be having the same stuff. So if you can't find one, walk around and see if there's another one in that particular convention. But since I'm kind of just dominating the conversation, is there anything that you ladies want to kind of bring up that we haven't really touched on when it comes to wearables, or open forum?
We haven't talked about sleepwear. That's geeky. It's no longer just for kids.
Oh, very good point. Ooh, we didn't even think about sleepwear, which is funny because like one of my favorite things in the entire universe is at Comic-Con. It was back when it was when 12 and Clara were just having their first episode together. They had a pair of sleep pants, and to this day they are the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. I am so cautious whenever I'm wearing them because I don't want anything ever to happen to them, but they don't make them anymore because they were a unisex sleep, just long sleeve drawstring kind of pant. Oh, Neisha's lifting something up.
This is my this is a nightgown.
Really?
It's a night cozy, and it's made of weeping angels. A weeping angels night cozy, and it's lovely, and it's warm and snuggly, and my lovely niece found it for me because she was like, yeah, I know who's gonna love this, so you're getting that.
An entire different meaning to catching a couple winks. It's like, oh no. Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm surprised I sleep with it on because I'm so afraid to close my eyes.
Oh my goodness.
You guys get that meaning. So
what sleepwear do you have, Simi? Do you tend to just have a specific sleepwear that you found that you just adore, or just more as a t-shirt that you're like, oh, this is beautiful, I'm gonna wear it tonight, I'm gonna go to bed with it?
Generally what happens is the t-shirts that I've worn out that I can't wear in public anymore, they tend to become sleepwear.
Gotcha. You mean like the collars are now kind of a little loose?
Yeah.
Or that dreaded cracking?
But now you can find actual sleepwear that has, like, they'll have like a DW for Doctor Who or the TARDIS or something on like the hem or whatever. And, it's not just for kids anymore, thankfully.
No, it's a very valid point. I really didn't think about it because for the longest time, any type of pajamas, that kind of thing, they were going to be marketed towards kids. Anything was merchandised towards children. I mean, even now, I think you can start finding Doctor Who, like not even just wearables, but I'm just thinking in the textile frame of mine. Your pillows, your blankets, your duvets, your curtains, everything.
Go to my find and find the textiles. Absolutely. With tons of
pants. Not as expanded as clothing, but it's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I think at least we have the opportunity to get the textiles. So when we have a lot of custom design artists out there, the few who I spoke to you about, my friends who I've met through her universe, and the opportunity to be able to create your own textiles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very new up and coming.
Yes. From like spoonflower.com, or even Redbubble or Society 6, you can get your gift wrap depending on what kind of art you want to make, you can get it on there.
We actually printed material with our logo.
Oh wow!
We absolutely did, because we wanted to do as part of one of our workshops for cosplay, breaking down the pieces of it. We printed material with our logo, and we actually made a skirt to show how you could do the full round A-line skirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Have you been wearing that to like conventions or just wherever across panels? I would imagine.
Because it was a product that we used for a sample from when we were doing workshops, and hopefully with everything coming through with the research, the funding, we'll be able to start doing these things again, to where we're showing people how to translate your fandom passion into your everyday. Transforming it, we call it transforming your fandom passion into everyday action. So it's learning. Yes, that's what that whole project is called. It's about creating wearability and accessibility with your fandom, so that exactly the conversation we're having today, however you want to do it. And I was going to show as a sample. I have this ring, which is an Ahsoka Tano ring.
Ahsoka. I see Ahsoka.
And that's by Rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is an artist who absolutely fell in love with art and design, but at the same time with custom jewelry design. And she's like literally fantastic. And she has been working with her universe with Ashley, and recently got licensing with Star Wars and Marvel. So she has a bunch of products out there. I know she's hopefully working on getting BBC so she can do, because I asked her, when are you doing Doctor Who stuff? And so it's all licensing. But how she translated her fandom into this beautiful wearable art, it's ridiculous. So it's not just this wearable art, but something like this. And then, the pieces she does is just, it's so sometimes maybe you're not comfortable wearing the clothing and the apparel, but at least you have the opportunity to do this,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I tell you, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have felt as comfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very, very secure at this point in my life to do it. So,
well, I'm going to pause the conversation for one moment. We need to take a quick commercial break, and on the other end is going to be our final segment where we're just going to talk about everything and anything we haven't covered yet. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back for our final segment of the Legend of the Traveling Tardis. We have about another 11 or so minutes as we pilot her for your listening pleasure, as we keep talking about wearables and accessories and all that kind of fun stuff. I was going to bring up with more of the accessories, because I think we've now covered almost all the different types of wearables that you can get, whether it's at a convention, whether it's licensed, which is amazing, and that's the stuff that you should be getting, because honestly, you can't find bootleg stuff because more conventions are cracking down on that, as they should be, because it's illegal. But then you can also buy fan-made things where you have like the licensed print, the licensed textiles that you could buy at Joann's, and they're making everything and anything that you could think about, like from everything from aprons to shirts that maybe your particular body style fit. You want more of that 50s style A-line dress, and that's what looks good on you. So you can go ahead and get on Etsy and find that person who can make that dress look exactly exquisite to your figure, that will make you look like the radiant, goddess or god that you want to look like. But I did want to, for our last segment, I wanted to talk more about accessories. To Neisha's point about jewelry, and that Ahsoka, honestly, you need to go onto YouTube once this podcast goes live, so you could see this ring. This thing is absolutely astounding looking, and that's the great thing, is just you can find it. It's hard to have this conversation with you two and only stay on Doctor Who, because there's so many different fandoms I want to talk about on how that you can find and you can get, like the Her Universe dress. When I first, there was a long tunic style shirt. It wasn't a dress, it was a shirt. It was the blue dress from Wonder Woman that had the back that was open, but it was like a mesh piece, but it was supposed to emulate the sword. And it was a couple of years ago at Her Universe, and it was at the con. I couldn't get it. It wasn't my size anymore. I was like, no. But you have to go online after the fact, get your coupons. But accessories. Simi, what kind of accessories do you look for that you like? Are you more of an earring girl, necklaces? What do you or anything? Actually, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I like clothing, but I also love jewelry. So anything nice and sparkly that shows off geekdom is fabulous, but really, really hard to find. Yeah. Unless you kind of have to pay a lot out of pocket. Mm-hmm. But right now I'm looking for maybe a purse or a bag that's, not just like chunky, whatever, but it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Loungefly has one. I'm showing it off.
I love those are my I have not just Doctor Who. I have a purse that's Sailor Moon. I have heels that are super comfortable, Sailor Moon, because that's another one of my fandoms. But this is, those are things I'm looking for more now, not just clothing, but things that I can use.
That's a lot more than what I do, actually.
Well, actually, I'm going to open this up a little bit more. Is there anything that you wish that they had out there for Doctor Who? Because as you were talking, I realized I had Star Wars lipstick at one point, and I still do. And I remember Star Trek had makeup. Do you think that Doctor Who could be a makeup? Is there another type of thing out there that you would be like, oh, I need this in my life?
Yeah, you know how Mac has those special lines that come out with the movie premieres, and they have Star Trek contract with them, and I think they did one recently for Endgame. I'm pretty sure they had that as well.
Oh,
so, yeah. So it's a special line that's based on the cosplay or the costuming of wearables, makeup that you can use either to create the look or actually just as makeup. And I actually really dig that a lot. And that also having the ability to do it with your nails. So they do nail presses that are fandom based also, which is also, they're very there are ones that are not too nerdy that you can wear in the business setting, I think. So I don't because I'm allergic, darn it. But yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing. It's like there's a lot of different, when it comes to wearables and at least with fashion, it tends to be more of a female dominated kind of avenues of, or at least traditionally marketed towards a female audience. And hopefully more and more that I'm even seeing when I go to like Sally Beauty Supply to pick up stuff, that I'm seeing the makeup being shown on a male or non-binary model. That we're starting to see that more open up. So I hope that we can start seeing more things that can be non-gender and be able to show off that, look, not only is this something that can be sold, but we need a license for it. And I hope that we can see more of those kind of things where, yes, it could be a makeup, or maybe even into the perfume or the cologne, or however the smellables. Let's work this other scent we have here instead of just feasting for our eyes and feasting for the sense that our tactile senses. It'd be kind of neat having other types of scents being out there. That'd be kind of fun.
And not geared towards either really little kids or teenagers, but something for the everyday adult. Because I think there's like a huge market that's slowly like seeing that this is it's a very viable option for a lot of sellers now. Like, hey, these are people who've been ignored for so long.
Right.
We can force them.
Coming from the convention scene, I remember a girl that she was a soap maker, and she would have all these amazing types of scents. And what she would do is that she would package them differently for different, conventions. But one of like she had one that was Idris, and it was like my favorite one in the world. It was oh Lord, it was like there was a mint note to it. It was very clean and bright, but it was very, very almost like how mint is, where it's just very, very, I want to say bright or just out there kind of a scent. And it'd be kind of neat to see more like soaps that would be, emulating those characters that you would think, oh, well, this is a cinnamon and this should be like this person. And you're just having all those overlying items to it. That would be kind of those. So yeah, not necessarily wearables, but it would be neat to see more of those kind of things that you could put on your person or just cover yourself in.
Yeah. I was just looking up while we were talking real quick. I know that in Etsy that there are a lot of wearable perfumes and colognes that that are based in fandoms. But I recently saw, because I just went somewhere recently, and I think it was Disney, as a matter of fact, where they had some perfumes based on the scents, the common scents that we expect. I think it was something that had to do with Snow White. I can't think of it now, but I do believe that's another line of thought where we could connect what we're smelling to, it's all about audio sensory, right? It's about creating a sensory connection, whether it's visual or tactile. Auditory we have, because we have music, we have the shows where we're listening and we're hearing. But the rest of design, what we're talking about today, gives us the opportunity to connect through all the other senses. And even with taste, right? Because I have the most fabulous Doctor Who tea. You know, some teas that are made all Doctor Who flavors, and you're like, how is that even possible? But guess what?
Mhm.
It is. It
No,
absolutely.
that's actually a perfect transition because tea is very aromatic. It's a very smell thing. So you could literally translate that from a soap that you're smelling and just enjoying that the aroma of, to a tea where you're going to smell the aromatic as well as you then, and then you're going into the palate of your tongue and everything, and tasting it. It would There's a lot of different things that I love, that how just light from for me, I work in marketing, and to see how licensing can be used to push products, and and sometimes, I mean, just slapping a character on a band-aid, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't, if it's a child, it makes more sense where you're going to want those end game or the Marvel characters on there, because it gives them that sense of, okay, I have Black Widow protecting me and my little, my boo boo. But sometimes, branding, it doesn't make sense to have a license on certain things. But for geekdom, having that on you, on those products, it makes you closer to what makes you comfortable. It helps you maybe even with, you have an anxiety, not even, I won't say the disorder, but just any, even a light anxiety, having that comfort of whether it's a geek shirt. There's a reason why you have comfort food. There's comfort clothing. You have comfort, comfortable things. That it's your security blanket, and a lot of our wearables are those security blankets. I know we're kind of wrapping down to the end of the show. We have about maybe 5 minutes, so I just want to make sure that you ladies, you have a little bit of time yourselves. Is there any other points that you want to bring up as we close out? I'll start with Simi.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just throw you right into it.
Throw you in the
Well, we did discuss a lot. It's just that while we have a lot more options currently, there's still a lot more room for us to be able to make this more of a normal thing, where you can wear it you can have like business casual stuff, or even formal business stuff. Whether you're trying to decorate your house, it doesn't all have to be so like garish looking. It can be subtle, and it's just beautiful. It doesn't, because I think for a lot of people, when they think of fandom branded stuff, they think of like loud, completely clashing things. So there's room in the market for us to be able to find things that can be more subtle.
And what about you, Neisha?
Yeah, no, that's a fabulous point. It's exactly what I was thinking too. It's for instance, and I just want to make a quick point about her universe. Ashley started out with her universe because she was looking to create wearable fashion for women, or the female identifying gender, because there weren't enough geek items at the time when she created it. But, over this last year and a half, they created the Our Universe, which is the gender neutral line, and anyone can wear it. Plus, within it is the wearable items for people who identify as male, or vice versa, as it were, because a lot of the items can be worn either way, and they are business casual. You are getting things like ties, etc., bow ties and things like that in there. And I love the concept of the expanding that world, so that we can go ahead and take away the labels that we keep attaching to what's appropriate for any one person, right? What's appropriate is what makes us happy. What creates peace and contentment and helps us to positively identify who we are, right? So, if we don't have people out there helping to create things or products that help us, then it makes it a little more difficult, to Simi's point. But I do know that right now, for instance, with my very good friend Cynthia Kirkland, who's one of the original founders of the Diversely Geek message, she was one of the winners of her Universe Fashion show back in 2018. And the items that she designed for the endgame line that they had to design were extremely wearable. She designed the by the way, the Iron Man dress. If you remember, yeah, that was her. And then she did the baseball dress that was Steve Rogers. which is also totally appropriate for anybody to wear. And so she works very strongly with the group of ladies I'd like you to meet in creating products that are across accessibility. And I do want to say something very important.
Yes,
Accessibility, I keep using the word. Just remember, body types also includes the people who are living with different physical abilities and disabilities, and therefore need different types of clothing that accommodate wheelchairs or crutches or scooters or etc. And
Absolutely.
so we are starting to get to that place where we have designers who are willing to do that. And for instance, I know Ashley Exley and that they're looking and discussing and having that those open discussions. Christy Cedar Thompson, who also won with the year with Cynthia Kirkland in 2018, that's one of her specialties. She's actually trained to create items and has worked extensively with organizations that create items in the fandom fashion geek couture world, but full on couture now for fans who are in wheelchairs. And
That's utterly brilliant, honestly, because I think the greatest thing with her universe is, yes, it started off with you could only find geek stuff and it was going to be male driven as we knew it, and it was just going to be those unisex, those big beefy tees. And her universe was that finding that niche market of going, look, it needs to be broader. So you went from something small and you made it broader. And now she's gone from, okay, look, it's not just her universe, it's our universe. We're going broader. You're finding more and more of those markets and they're targeting to them. And now that we can get to the part of, okay, let's find more audiences, let's keep narrowing it down or making more broader, so to speak, is okay, we need more people that can fit, the wheelchair accessibilities and all those other types of things. Going, look, we have another group here that needs stuff. Fill it. It's when it comes to any type of supply and demand, it's supply and demand. And more as all the demands are starting to get fulfilled with supply, we're finding more and more things out there to go, okay, what markets need help? Oh, you need something? Let's fulfill it. I want to thank Simi Kaur for being on here. I want to thank Neisha Mulchan from Diversity Geek as always, because I know I'm looking at the little clock is kind of blinking at me, going, "You got to wrap up." So wonderful conversation, ladies. I really enjoyed this and being able to talk about wearables, about fashion, being able to talk accessories, and being able to really try to get around everything about how, as Doctor Who fans, that we can go ahead and wear our love and our passions on our sleeves. So once again, thank you, ladies, for being on here, and thank you, the listener, for listening to us as we pilot the TARDIS and talk about subjects that we are near and dear to us. And again, thank you always for being part of the legend.